The Annotated Luther, published by Fortress Press, is a labor of love for all of us who have participated in this visionary project. My name is Kirsi Stjerna, and I am one of the 3 general editors of the series with Hans Hillebrand and Timothy Wengert. I had the privilege of shepherding Volume 2 of the series, titled Word and Faith. The title is telling of the content. This theologically oriented volume presents works featuring some of Luther's most original and consistent theological assertions. Works in which he makes a distinctive mark in the theological landscape, and works that have proven influential through the ages, in classrooms, at homes, and beyond. Volume 2 invites the reader to engage with Luther in his own words and to discover what exactly his theology is made of, and what is so unique about it. Each of the texts included are written with passion, which is not unusual of Luther, and they address central faith issues, existential concerns, and matters of interpretation. If one wants a portable Luther's theology in one volume, this is it. As such, it also serves as a foundational tool for Lutheran theology and ministry today, with a strong stimulus for a continued reformation. For Luther, and thus for Lutherans, the key words word and faith do not imply a stagnant fortress for the status quo, but quite the contrary. Word and faith for Luther and Lutherans are active words, offering a compass for orienting in this life on the basis of God's tangible grace, and giving a language for transformation on the basis of justification by faith. Let me say a few words about the texts included. The texts in Volume 2 represent different genres and come from different stages of Luther's career between 1519 and 1538. They give ample evidence of the pillars and the idiosyncratic systems of Luther's theology. 2 kinds of righteousness. An early sermon from 1519 offers a precious explication of Luther's doctrine of justification in its 2 dimensions. The alien righteousness as a gift from Christ and complete in the coram Deo reality, and proper righteousness as one's own growing in the following of Christ, coram hominibus. A brief instruction on what to look for in the Gospels from 1522, also a sermon, illustrates Luther's insights on the ongoing paradox between law and gospel in Christian life. In the so-called happy exchange, Christ assumes human sin, while humans receive all that is Christ's. This gospel is for Luther the key to the interpretation of the entire scriptures. Another sermon, How Christians Should Regard Moses, from 1525, continues to address the distinction between law and gospel. Luther defends the role of the Old Testament for also Christians who must, however, stay clear from any whiff of so-called works righteousness, and who need to interpret the texts and powerful faith examples in the Old Testament in light of the gospel of Christ. In his feisty text from 1525, Against the Heavenly Prophets in the Matter of Images and Sacraments, Luther attacks the so-called spiritualists and seeks to clarify the meaning of sacraments and images in Christian worship. He explains, again, the relation of law and freedom, and argues vigorously for Christian freedom. One of Luther's most famous works is The Bondage of the Will from 1525. His radical and much contested point is that human beings are not free to make right choices in relation to God, but are rather born enemies of God. Luther never bent on this conviction that only God in God's grace can rescue human beings from their self-induced damnation. If anything else was possible, Christ would have died in vain. Luther's Confession of Faith from 1528 is part of his Confession concerning Christ's Supper, together presenting a summa of his theology. On the basis of the Apostles' Creed, Luther teaches about a good confession at the time of death, and gives an evangelical statement of the pillars of Christian faith, centering on grace as the sole source of salvation, and the Word as the agent of grace. The Large Catechism from 1529 is a beloved familiar text that explicates the basics of Christian faith. Luther deliberately begins with the Ten Commandments that express God's expectations before moving on to explain the Creed as proclamation of God's promise, the Lord's Prayer as the law and gospel discourse with God, and the sacraments as tangible signs of God's grace to lean on. In many ways, the Large Catechism is Luther's book on the Holy Spirit. The Small God Articles from 1538 is a battle call for Lutherans about the urgencies of reforms needed. Written with an intent to unite, the articles address a multiple of questions from the Mass and saints to central arguments in evangelical theology. Throughout, Luther points to Christ's redeeming work as the key and the Word as the agent connecting us with grace. These texts invite all of us for a critical and compassionate study of Luther's theology in new contexts, and we can do this with our diverse frameworks and languages. We wish to expand our partnership in this work globally speaking. The opportunities are endless for not only historical and theological study, but also with larger existential and spiritual questions at stake. Finally, I wish to praise the international team of scholars who made this volume possible. Volker Lepin from Tübingen, Germany, Else Marie Wiber Peresen from Aarhus, Denmark, Kurt Hendel from Germany and Chicago, Gordon Jensen from Canada, Wanda Deitfeld from Brazil and Iowa, Hans Hillebrand from Germany and North Carolina, and Brooke Schramm from Texas and Gettysburg. Each of these amazing scholars brought in their exceptional skills in the original languages, Latin and German, and a diverse array of expertise from theology to history, from biblical studies to feminist scholarship. In the last couple of years, we were intensely living and laboring with Luther, around whom we experienced significant and exciting community building. We invite you to join the ride. You won't be disappointed.